Hi, I'm CeCee Torres with IdeateTV, and I'm here with the artist Christie Shinn. Hi, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Tell us all about your art.
My artwork, I would like to say in 2 words, it's messed up. And what it is that generally it's like I write about anger and the healthy process of anger.
Yes.
So what it is that I write books that are angry and mean and make people laugh, but I also draw too. But people somehow really like that first tagline. So what I do is that I do a character. My main character is Demon Bitch. She's a low-level demon from the 13th pit of hell, where people throw their dog shit in gum wrappers. And she wants to bring the second coming of Armageddon, but the first one never happened because she's a stupid asshole. So she's based on girls I hate. So it's just like essentially like we're told that with anger you have to stuff it down or take the higher road, which means like, oh, well, you shouldn't just not be mad about it anymore, which no one can really do unless you're Jesus or Buddha or whatever you believe in. Personally, I don't find that healthy. And personally, I found out when I learned that, sometimes you have to deal with the anger by feeling it, letting go or whatever negative emotion. And you do it as many times as you need to. That is definitely different from spiraling or marinating in something negative. It's just you have to process the anger and all that and resolve it within yourself. And, if amends need to be making, apologies need to be making, that's great. And I never like the whole negative thing like, well, if they don't, it's like, just if they do, because it happens a lot more than what you think. You might as well be open to that, So
How do you express that in your art? Is it the way you draw a certain character? The colors you use, the shapes you use?
Well, I would say when I drew Demon Bitch, I acted like I really didn't care. I drew her like I hated her. And I drew her like I didn't care about her. But it's so funny because like there's some people that do fan art of her, and there's some that they draw her like super sexy. I should have marked this, but Mog Park is one of the fan artists that I've asked to put in the comic, and as you can tell, there's a contrast between her, like Demon Bitch. It's like you're ugly, but it's that but she's
wow.
sexy. So yeah, and also if anybody picks up any of the books, I might show anybody that's here that did the fan art of my books, go over to their table and have them sign it. But yeah.
So it seems like your work has a following where people not only like it, but they put their own spin on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like they feel that their work, they feel that my work is therapeutic in ways that, there's plenty of angry comics out there, and I'm not the only person that trademarks the angry comics. But I think lately, sometimes with angry comics, not all of them obviously, but with angry comics, like it's just I'm raged, and that's it. It's not, there's not like varying levels of rage or certain bits of rage or certain like facets of justified rage. And I think with anger, it's like people kind of tend to, I would say, minimize anger in not a good way. And what I mean by that is that their anger is important. As my friend Leela Lee says of anger, little girls, anger is a gift. But like the anger, it's like angry is just basically when you feel that your boundaries have been crossed and you're having an emotional reaction to it. And that's one of them. So it's good to deal with that. It's good, whether it's a trigger within yourself or trigger outside or somebody that's genuinely doing it to you right now, that's definitely something to be processed and analyzed and looked at. So, and again, you can feel sad, angry, depressed, hopeless, whatever. But, it's like, I think that it's perfectly valid to feel all the feelings. You just have to have a healthy outlook rather than just say, I'm going to go take a salt bath now, because that's not really how it works out a lot of the time.
So would you recommend art as a healthy outlet?
I would say so, but I'd say like don't do it because I've had people say, oh, well, just draw this out and you'll feel better. And it's like, okay, well, that only works so much, you find out. But I think like if you're feeling a certain way and you put it out there, like I did that with Personal Monsters, where I was really angry about a lot of things. So I just blindly drew what I wanted to do. And then I went ahead and I just wrote the meanest stuff I could. And it got it out. But that speaks to people. Like,
I'm intrigued to see what you wrote.
Oh, I have the final copy of the book here. I have one book left on this one. That book only sells out.
Have you been surprised at the reaction to your work and the acceptance of it?
I really have, because I first started out, that was just a funny, pissed off book to write for myself. And I thought, if people found it funny. But people actually find it deeper than what I thought it would be. And that's kind of strange to me, because I was always told like, oh, you're mad, you should just get over it, blah, 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 blah. And what I never liked was, taking the higher road meant, just swallowing it down and never, asking for justice or seeking things or whatnot. But at the most part, most people like to say, oh, well, I'm just going to go and say and do the thing. But it's like, so I'm just supposed to take it. And I never was in agreement of that. Now, what my feeling is that if you do the higher road, you do things legally and morally correct. Like, let's say if you get really mad at a person, you don't go to their house and beat them up because you could get hurt, killed, and the cops. That's not a good thing to do. But, but to deal with it in a appropriate manner, like escalate the situation in terms of, going to the right authority for it or addressing it in a calm, peaceful manner is the best way.
That's a good way to look at things, definitely, and to kind of have an outlet and not keep everything in. When did you get started with art?
I've done it since I was little. And when I was little, I just would draw. And then as I got older, I was like, am I a graphic artist? Am I a fine artist? What am I? So it was kind of one of those things. Am I a cartoonist? And then I realized I just love doing comic books. So I'm just doing that.
Yeah. How have you felt finding your space in this world of art and world of comics? Has it been easy? Have you had to maneuver being a woman, being of a diverse background? How has that affected you?
I think definitely my upbringing had something to do with it. I mean, I make jokes. My ethnicity is Korean, so I make jokes about being angry. But in reality, I think I just kind of did it for myself. There's a lot of things that people can say, as a woman and all that. You can definitely identify with any of those things. But I think if you tend to overthink on those things, that tends to limit you because we human beings are the best at psyching ourselves out with overthinking or with presuming certain things. But if I just kind of assumed if things were for the best, then it actually worked out for me. So, because it worked out the opposite. Like when I assumed everything was the worst, well, the worst things happened to me.
Your thoughts become reality.
Kind of, yeah. I think also what you're built with, and if you have catastrophization, there's a lot of complex stuff. But for me personally, I just love, I just like drawing angry art. And you know what? People really, I think, can sense that. So if you really like the work, or like the subject matter, just do it.
Right. Yeah, and the good thing about the Comic-Con is people who gravitate toward your work, people who are fans, get to find you and you get to connect with them. What's that like?
It's really good. It's almost like we were family because it's it's kind of like, they come up to me and a lot of them have come up to me and said, wow, you've really helped, or I find you really funny and stuff like that. But I always write and draw messed up stuff because it's sort of I kind of don't care anymore on that. I mean, I do care. I have feelings about things, but it's just I kind of don't care about what are people going to think of me anymore on that level, on that superficial level. And we aren't taught how people think of us or what we are regarded on a superficial level until we actually drop that and realize, oh, that was stupid, But
such a refreshing outlook to have on life.
Yeah, well, I've lived it, so that's been my personal outlook to do it. But yeah, I just wanted to make the books I wanted to make, and hey, there you go,
What's the creative process like for you?
Well, I think making the graphic novel, you make the graphic novel, and I think it's just, I think of a comic, it pops up in my head. So the one shots pop up in my head, and so I draw it out. Or sometimes I don't have a clear idea, it's just something in me goes, go, and I'll draw it. And then I'll write the things, and it sits back, and it's kind of funny. So that's how it works for me with Demon Bitch. But with other stuff, it's it's kind of like it plays keyframes in my head, like an animation.
Yeah, well, your work is very refreshing, such a unique perspective. I've never really come across something like this where it's letting your anger out and everything. Yeah. Was there something that inspired you or a comic that you were inspired by?
Well, I liked Life in Hell. That's what I read when I was really little in Matt Groening's Life in Hell. He's the one that did The Simpsons, if you guys don't know. So he would write about this. And even before I was really knowledgeable about every single bit of nuanced adult life, looking back, it was pretty good. But it was getting that thing. But then there's also Calvin and Hobbes, where it was this kind of deep thing, even though he didn't swear or curse. But it was a precocious 6-year-old talking about these things. So, I think if people see if the work is real, even if it's about lizards and bunny rabbits and stuff talking to you, if somebody can resonate with it and say, oh yeah, that's that, then people can go oh, okay, I can relate to it. It's great.
I absolutely love your perspective and your work. If people want to find more from you, where can they find you?
They can find me at horrortorstudios.com, HORATORA studios.com.
Anything else you want to add while we have you here? Any message you want to spread?
It's fine to take stuff seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. It's it's good to be passionate. It's good to be serious. I'm not saying don't ever be serious, but don't take yourself too seriously if you mess up. you're going to be this terrible person. Like, just do what you need to do. Don't do it out of fear or out of like desperation, because those are the two emotions that I find that when I get incredibly fucked by.
Yeah.
But if I just handle it, I mean, it's not that it's bad to ever feel scared or upset, but if you do it motivated by that, that's really not a good thing, unless it's like a bear chasing you through the woods. But other than that, that's not life. It's just like, okay, well, I might as well do it. Yeah.
Great perspective, Christine. So nice to meet you.
Nice
Absolutely love your work. And for IdeateTV, I'm CeCee Torres here at LA Comic Con with the Christie Shinn.